Scheduled for 9:55 p.m. How did that happen? No wonder there's nobody in the stream. It's 8:55 a.m., folks. What's Donna Adelson going to be telling us today? I'm old. I'm frail. No evidence. I just want to sit in Florida. I just want to play shuffleboard now until I die. I won't be any trouble. You have a grandmother. I'm a grandmother of 5, apparently. Suddenly. When did that come up? Where's, I assume you mean Rob's kids. Playing much of an active role in their lives, Donna, considering you don't speak to their dad, your eldest son, your firstborn, Donna. What happened, Donna? Tell us, Donna. Just because he married someone that's not white, or what? I think there might be something else. Anyway, guys, we've got about, 6 minutes? Should we have a quick look at this? Should we have a quick look at this document? There's 2 documents that I haven't been through yet. What do we do at True Crime Metrix? We do a stream, we go to bed. We wake up, we make a thumbnail, we go live, and then we go back to bed. But I did just manage to do the twisty, plunky on my brake discs. And after 3 days of greasing them up with some lube, don't get excited, it's not fancy friction lube. It's auto lube, grease. What are we doing? Let's have a look at this document while we're waiting for these Muppets in Leon County. What is this? Amended motion to quash subpoena. Quash. I like it. I like the word quash. Sounds like a breakfast cereal. Please take notice that the witness and pro se counsel, Michael D. Weinstein, undersigned, respectfully requests that this honorable court to enter a order quashing the subpoena. And as ground states as follows. 1. Without any notice whatsoever, undersigned was blah, 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 blah. For several years prior to his ultimate conviction, undersigned counsel represented Charles Adelson in a variety of matters as his attorney, including but not limited to rendering legal advice upon his initial investigation as a defendant in the proceedings which this current case is derived from. You got to love legal wording sometimes, haven't you? 3. Under the Florida Bar Rules of Profession Conduct. Really? Under the Florida Bar Rules of Profession Conduct. I guess that does make sense if that's what it's called. I thought it's usually professional conduct, isn't it? But the conduct of professions would be... Sure, okay. I'll let it slide. Rule 419C prohibits undersigned counsel from providing any testimony as to his involvement in the above referenced case. Florida Bar Rule of Regulation 419C explicitly states a lawyer who has formally represented a client in a matter and in any capacity where the attorney-client relationship was formed, but not afterwards, reveal information relating to the representation. Okay. 4. Any and all testimony undersigned can offer would directly conflict with the interests of Charlie Adelson, who was previously represented by Daniel Rashface, and subsequently Donna Adelson, who is currently represented by Daniel Rashface. 5. At the time of the filing of this motion, undersigned's knowledge of the facts of this case are strictly protected by privilege. Undersigned counsel assisted in Charlie Adelson's case only before Daniel Rashface was permanently retained. 6. Any testimony that undersigned counsel could provide would breach attorney-client privilege and could potentially harm Daniel Rashface's former client, Charlie Adelson. Additionally, All investigations and work conducted by undersigned. Where are we? It's 2 minutes to go. Are we? I'm just checking that we've got our eye on this live stream coming in, guys. Don't they usually start a little bit early? I loved it last time when we walked in and it was some meeting before Donna Adelson's trial, but Judge Everett was up there going, "If you smoke any cigarettes that you don't purchase," what did that guy say? He's tested positive on a drug test. And he said, no. What happened is somebody, a friend or stranger, laced a cigarette with drugs that I accidentally smoked. I mean, come on. What is that? Yes. It's very common where I live. There's people running around lacing cigarettes with illicit drugs, handing them out. Anyway, where did we get to? 7. As undersigned is a practicing attorney in South Florida. He is also committed to his clients in the region. Very important clients in South Florida. Undersigned has a special set jury trial pertaining to State of Florida v. Patrick Desire. Patrick Desire. Wow, what a name. Case number 18009306CF10A. See, we read every detail. Trial 4 is scheduled to begin on September 24th, 2024, and has been going on since 2018. Undersigned counsel will be unavailable during this time. At no point was undersigned counsel made aware of this subpoena, nor was his schedule as a trial attorney considered by any of the parties. Oh, you naughty Kappelman. He's an attorney in South Florida. Very important clients, Mrs. Kappelman. Don't you just love it that suddenly in the True Crime Metrix universe, Georgia Kappelman suddenly has a dog called Coach? So, what did you think about Coach? He was very nice. He was very nice. You wanted to say hello, Coach. And Coach would say, hello, Soap. Anyway, back to this document. Very important stuff here. 8. In light of the aforementioned unavailability, undersigned counsel respectfully requests that any hearings pertaining to this motion and the relevant subpoena be heard via Zoom. He doesn't want to come to Tallahassee. He's an attorney in South Florida. He doesn't want to hear people say y'all and use your common sense. And if y'all think guilty, vote guilty. Use your common sense, y'all. He's so arrogant. This request is due to the distant location of the parties and the smell in Tallahassee. We don't like the smell in Tallahassee. Your smelly, dusty town. Where's this stream? They're late. Oh, shit. We're late. Here we go.
Neither of which emails or text messages is he an expert on. He's just compiling them, putting them in a report. Video surveillance photos, and then it has call record summaries, which we'll get into, but takes no expertise to do the call record summaries. Florida law is pretty clear on that, as well as cell site data, but it's very limited to cell site data, especially with regards to Mrs. Adelson, who's on trial here. There's some more detailed cell site data with regards to Mr. Garcia and Mr. Rivera, but even that wouldn't qualify as expert testimony. The cell site data as to Mrs. Adelson, there really is virtually none of it. So
one question before we continue on track of the expert testimony. As it relates to items that the state can properly admit.
Man, I really want to write to Leon County Courthouse and say, listen, what are you doing with these cameramen? I know exactly what he's doing wrong, and it's pissing me off. The levels are popping.
And I'm sure that, based on your pleading, there are aspects of the current PowerPoint that are disputed as being inadmissible. But for what can be properly admitted, Are you also disputing that those cannot be used as a demonstrative during trial by the state in some way?
No, they can be. So, in other words, there's no dispute that they can use the report as a demonstrative. There's no dispute that for the admissible items, they can put in the admissible items. So I'll give you an example. Email between Wendy Adelson and Donna Adelson. Clearly it's admissible, provided it's relevant. The ones they provided are relevant. Clearly admissible. The underlying email can be admitted, shown to the jury through an appropriate witness, if they call Wendy Adelson, for instance. Okay, so that email is admissible. But the summary of the email in the exhibit, the summary of the 1 or 2 page email in this exhibit can be shown to the jury, but it doesn't qualify as expert testimony or a proper summary exhibit to be admitted. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
It does. The one thing only one thing I would question, even concerning demonstrative, are you also saying the state cannot put the context around these various pieces of evidence?
No, they can, right? They can make arguments just like they do in closing arguments, right? They can show the exhibit to Sergeant Corbett. He can put it on the screen. He can explain whatever he's going to testify to.
Finally, he's turned down the decibels on his camera.
Our argument is he's not an expert in doing that. That's our first argument. And our second argument is ultimately that
Has Daniel Rashbaum borrowed Sarah Dugan's jackets? He's now in whites, the color of innocence.
329 pages right now, doesn't go back to the jury. It's a closing argument, essentially. When you look at his 329-page exhibit, and again, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but when you look at his 329-page exhibit, it's essentially Ms. Kappelman's closing argument, okay, which we don't admit to the jury. The jury doesn't get her slides and see them in the jury room when they're deliberating. But no, of course, they're able to, provided it's admissible material in it, they're allowed to show the exhibit. They're allowed to use it as a demonstrative. They're allowed to question Sergeant Corbett. He is allowed to be a witness based on what he did. Our argument is, number one, he's not an expert, and number two, the actual exhibit is not an appropriate summary exhibit that would go back.
Sergeant Corbett was born an expert. He does nothing but look at cell phone records all day, tower dumps, everything. I mean, he's just loving it. That's his whole deal, even on the weekends. He drives his wife mad because he's always like, did you see the cell tower information? Look at the cell tower information. He's born an expert. What are you talking about?
Back to the jury during deliberations. That's what our memo is about. And it's supported, Judge, by Florida law. So the Florida Supreme Court has held that law enforcement testimony, which merely summarizes and explains data from cell detail records, including the mapping of cell phone location data, is not expert opinion under Florida Statute 90.702 and Daubert, because it involves no scientific, technical, or other specialized skill. Cites King v. State 260 SO 3D 985, Florida 2018.
Neverly Darling says, imagine Rashi in Georgia's gator green suit. That I could get on board with. I just hope he doesn't wear her bra and underwear when he's in private, you know?
McMillan v. State 214 SO 3D 1274, Florida 217. The Florida Supreme Court has supported that, and also has the 11th Circuit in Batista, B-A-T-I-S-T-A, in affirming the Florida Supreme Court, where the 11th Circuit of Court of Appeals affirmed the district court's decision.
Yeah, Clarissa, the state has the burden of proof. Daniel Rashbaum stands up and says, the state has the heavy burden of proving the case beyond a reasonable doubt with proof. And Georgia Kappelman stands up and says, okay, here's all the proof. Done.
To admit as lay testimony an FBI agent's use of cell phone records, along with the phone company's records of where their cell phone towers were located, to plot on a map which towers connected with which cell phones at a particular point in time. But it said it wasn't expert opinion. It said that you don't need the agent doesn't have any expertise to read the cell phone records to determine which cell tower was used at a particular time, look up the latitude and longitude of that cell tower in the company's records, and mark the intersection of the latitude and longitude on a map. That's precisely what Sergeant Corbett is doing here. It is exactly on point to what he's doing here. Also, the fact that he pulled data off of iClouds and he pulled data off of iPhones, it's not expert. Now, of course, he's able to testify to it, but it doesn't meet the standards of expert testimony. Now, moving to the second point, Judge, which is whether...
Before you move on to that, when it comes to the data pulls, because I've heard this argued, not by you, but a number of ways over the years. The first being the data pull itself is a factual issue, which I would agree. How the machine works and whether or not the data
And Judge Everett sounds like the Wizard of Oz today.
pull was in fact, it took place technically in a correct manner, that goes to more specialized information. Is there going to be any contesting of any way that the data pull was somehow not technically proper or sufficient? Because if so, at that point, now we are veering into a map.
3 Cents asks, hi, is this channel free Karen Reed or not? I haven't looked into Karen Reed. We haven't even begun. But when we do, I want to try and stay as neutral as possible, you know?
That deals with specialized information, knowledge, or expertise.
Judge, may I have one moment, please?
Go ahead.
You've stipulated to that. That's one of the things you stipulated to. All right, so we'll have to figure that
Scalp rash, confer.
out. Okay.
Judge, I don't believe it's going to be an issue. But we understand what you're talking about. If it were to become an issue, then obviously the expertise on that particular issue would be obviously subject to his qualifications, which we think he has. Okay, but at this point, we don't anticipate it being an issue. We don't anticipate. There may be questions as to why he pulled it as opposed to someone else pulling it. But as far as whether it was pulled appropriately or not, we're not contesting that.
Very well. You may continue.
Okay, so Judge, if I may just move on to the second part of the argument. The second part of the argument is not dependent on the first. So whether he's an expert or not an expert, it really is an independent inquiry, the second part of the argument, which is whether ultimately whatever turns into his exhibit, his demonstrative, goes back to the jury. And again, for purposes of today, unless you want to go into it, I'm not going to be talking about specific pages that we don't believe are admissible. So let's just talk about the thing as a whole, if that's okay with the court.
Go ahead.
So, Judge, this summary, and I think you've had an opportunity to view it. It's not, the first thing to understand is it's not a neutral summary. That's the first thing to understand. The second thing not that alone does not end the inquiry. It's just a fact.
Well, to that, and obviously a criminal case is different from a civil case, but all the time, in civilly litigated matters, parties will have presentations, reports, summaries prepared. The plaintiff, by nature, is adverse to the defendant. Anything that they're preparing for the jurors is going to advocate or in some way demonstrate why I should win. As it relates to this summary, the state is prepared this in anticipation of litigation to advocate their position. Why is this inappropriate?
That alone, that fact that it's not neutral, is not the determining factor. But it's one that courts would tell you to look at in deciding whether it is a summary that's appropriate to go back to the jury or whether it is more in line with a closing argument, which would not be appropriate to go back to the jury. So I start with that just because it's just as a basic factual point. I don't think it's determinative of your decision. What is determinative of your decision, though, is when you look at this summary, it's full.
Poor Sergeant Corbett's probably watching this in the cupboard under the stairs, surrounded by telecoms equipment. You know, silent tear dripping down his cheek. I thought I was an expert. They're saying I'm not an expert. That's just heartbreaking.
Items, again, we're not disputing that the items are admissible. Let me be clear on that. So the summary has, for instance, I think at last count, 30 to 40 emails. Those 30 to 40 emails, provided they survive evidentiary challenges, are admissible. But a summary is done for the purpose of taking voluminous records and synthesizing them in a way that helps the jury. That's what the statute talks about, right? And that's what
Spacey Dove, Harvey is the dentist from Marathon Man, played by Laurence Olivier.
the case law talks about. That's what Oloyede talks about, which is 933 F3rd 302 310 4th Circuit 2019, where it talks about how we don't send closing arguments back to the jury. That is not admissible under law, because summaries are elevated under Rule 1006 and also Florida Statute 90.956 to the position of evidence. Care must be taken to omit argumentative matter in their preparation, lest the jury believe that such matter is itself evidence of the assertion it makes. So in this document, you see a bunch of items that are not voluminous. They're one page. Rental car agreements. There's no summary needed for that. 2-page emails, 1-page emails. There's no long emails. 1-page text messages. Not necessary. And then you see call records, and you see some call summaries. Again, not voluminous materials. I wish they were, but they were limited in what the call materials were. So, Judge, our argument is that the exhibit itself can be shown. We're not arguing that it can't be shown to the jury.
As a demonstrative, but not as admitted evidence.
Admitted evidence. The underlying evidence in it that's admissible can be admitted, obviously. Now, within the summary, and I think this may be better taken up at trial or in another day, unless you want to take it up now, within the exhibit, we
Hold on. As to any pages that are specifically disputed as inadmissible, it's best to handle this outside of the presence of the jury, so that way it's clear what is in and what is out when all of it is ruled on.
Yeah, so I mean, we can do that at your convenience. Look, the state has still been updating it.
There's been no rulings yet, Stella.
So things may change, but we already see some pages that are either hearsay or privileged under the joint defense privilege, for instance. We already see, there's not a lot, but we already see some pages that we think are problematic, and we can take that up whenever you want. But our argument today summarizes on his characterization as an expert, and either way on the document actually going back to the jury.
Let's handle that part of it then next Thursday if there are still disputes as to individual pages, so that way it can be handled and ruled upon.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. If you don't have any questions, we'll rest on our papers.
Very well. State, you may respond.
There we go. Is it Dugan or Kappelman? I bet it's going to be Dugan first.
Morning, Judge.
Good morning.
And that's why we're True Crime Metrix.
So the defense motion argues that, you don't have to be an expert in order to testify to phone evidence. And they cited the King and Gordon cases in their motion and talked about them this morning. I think it's important to consider that in both of those cases, which were post-conviction motions, where the court said that the defense was actually not ineffective for not getting their own expert, or not objecting to the witness testifying for not being an expert. The defense did not object to a non-expert law enforcement officer testifying to the cell phone evidence in that case because it was a strategic decision. The defense knew that they could cross the law enforcement officer more effectively than an expert, and the state could easily get someone more qualified had the defense objected. In Gordon, the court said that the witness from the phone company who testified would have qualified as an expert to testify to that data and been able to testify to the cell site data had there been an objection. In King, in that post-conviction evidentiary hearing, the defense put an expert on the stand who provided expert testimony on GPS and on cell phone location data. The defense expert concluded that the defendant could have been at home, not at the crime scene at the time of the murder. So in that case, there was an expert who testified to the location information from the cell phone records.
That does lead me to my first question concerning Sergeant Corbett. What exactly is he going to testify to beyond what the cell phone data history records or cell phone tower records would show? That or otherwise you need him to testify through an opinion that he cannot just testify off the records themselves.
Yes, sir. So he's going to be, and I have this in just a second, but as far as the summary goes, he's not testifying as an expert to everything in the summary, but he's testifying as an expert to a large part of the summary when it comes to cell site location data and how far, who's using a handset at the time and how far the person is from the cell site location. He uses the more.
So you're saying how to interpret that data?
Yes, sir. And he uses more than just cell phone records to do that. But the cases, the Gordon and the King cases, those cases say a witness does not have to be an expert to testify to some of that information. But they're not saying that you cannot present an expert to offer an opinion on a handset's location if that witness has the necessary training and experience, just as was done at the hearing in the King case, and
Tracy, yes, Donna is in the courtroom.
could have been done at the trial at the Gordon case. And Sergeant Corbett has hundreds of hours of training and experience and has offered an expert opinion well over 100 times in circuit court. The reason they don't want him to be able to declare an expert, they don't want him to be able to offer an opinion. And this is more than just a data pull of, hey, we got these cell phone records. And this is more than just, this is where the cell site locations are in any given place in Florida. This is him forming an opinion on how far a handset is from a location, who may be using the handset at the time that you need this specialized, or that it's beneficial for the jury to hear his specialized knowledge because he's able to interpret the cell phone records to tell us that information. The defense also argues in their motion that there's basically just too much evidence in this summary, that it's more than just for phone records and some of the evidence isn't voluminous. But a summary's whole purpose is to summarize relevant evidence. Sergeant Corbett, as I said, is not offering an expert opinion on everything in the summary. He's offering an expert opinion on the interpretation of the cell phone records, the location of the handsets, who may be using the handset at the time. And there's a large part of the presentation that are those things, but there's a lot more information in the summary, like surveillance video from Premier Gym, a traffic ticket received by the suspect, a car rental agreement, that maybe those things individually aren't voluminous, but they're all material to the presentation and material to his opinions because he's using them to provide an opinion on who had the handset and where the handset was at the time. For example, if a certain suspect's phone is communicating with a cell site that's consistent with like a car rental company, an expert may be able to better determine who was using the handset at the time and confirm their actual location and confirm the reliability of the cell site information. If we're able to see that, well, that person actually got a rental agreement at the time, they got a traffic ticket shortly after the car was rented, all of those things help him form his opinions and determine that. The defense says, this is a closing argument. The information that he looked at in this case, there is so much digital evidence that it is very all-encompassing. However, there's not what's in the presentation.
C. Malone doesn't see a wedding ring on Sarah Dugan's finger. I think she keeps having to have it resized. I mean, she is very thin. I think she only eats rice cakes and a single stalk of celery. And she calls that binging.
Is not, it's all data. It's all, it's messages, it's emails, it's different business records and cell phone records that we received that helped inform those opinions. They talked about the 30 or 40 emails. When I'm handing them over the things that I may use in my presentation, I'm trying to be as thorough as possible. I don't want them to have less information than I may use. I don't intend to use all 30 or 40 emails. I don't intend to have Sergeant Corbett sit up there and read all of those, but I wanted to send them all of the ones that I may use as far as just, these are what was found in these different accounts. This was some, and asking him, hey, did law enforcement find some evidence of motive that caused him to look into these people? Yes, X, Y, and Z were found. Maybe spend 3 minutes to 5 minutes on that and move on to the next thing.
As to that point, and I believe the defense's motion hits on this as well, for what you would ask Sergeant Corbett to add to this, is that in fact his opinion?
So the defense motion attacks that, the prosecutor is ultimately deciding what's going into the presentation. Maybe that's what you're referring to.
Yes.
But Sergeant Corbett's job is to pull information from these devices, interpret that data from the cell phone records. He's not investigating or prosecuting the case. In the investigative phase, he has to rely on the investigator to let him know what he's looking for, what this proverbial needle in the haystack is, whether he's wondering it exists. And Sergeant Corbett's been looking through the records to see if there is one, and then if there is one, including it and letting them know. Sergeant Corbett doesn't know exactly what the prosecution wants to present at trial. I talk to him about what the records show. I ask questions. He looks for answers. He lets me know what the data says. And then I'll say, yeah, can you put that in there? I think that's important. He's not the one talking to witnesses. I may talk to a witness. They tell me a certain event occurred. Then I go back to Sergeant Corbett and say, hey, is there any evidence of X happening? And he lets me know that may corroborate what the witness says, and then we're able to put it in there. And I'm not able to get that information in any other way because he's the person that's looking in these cell phone records and can let us know whether that evidence is corroborated or not, and can provide an opinion on whether...
Absolutely, he's the person looking at the records. You know why? Because he's the expert in the case. That's clear. The defense just don't want him to come because he's such a great expert.
What the data shows, where that handset was at the time, where that, how far they were from the tower at the time, things that may corroborate witness testimony or appear in the cell phone records that I wouldn't be able to see or know on my own. The defense motion also argues that the summary isn't admissible, but summaries are admissible. That's the whole point in using them, and there's no case law that I know of that says otherwise, that a summary isn't admissible. It has to only be used as a demonstrative, and the defense doesn't cite any either. The defense has specific objections to certain slides because of hearsay or privilege or other things, which I'm ready to discuss at any time the court is. But as far as the summary not being admissible, there's no case law that I know of as to that. And the defense hasn't cited any either. That's all I have.
Very well. One question about the document itself. And I think this is really what goes to the heart of the defense's motion about the summary. If you're taking, say, thousands of pages of documents and you reduce them to, let's give an arbitrary number, a 25-page report, you have synthesized the larger to the smaller into something that is digestible for the jury to use in making their decision. That, or at least in quoting their position, is not argumentative. Some of these things are more or less a part of the state's summary, at least as it stands right now. It's showing corroboration of other evidence. Is that in fact a summary in the sense that the statute defines a summary.
Yes, sir. I mean, this is the things that may corroborate other evidence, though, help this expert form his opinion. As the example I gave with the traffic ticket and the rental agreement, he's able to, from the phone records, say this phone is consistent with this cell site at the time. They may be this far from there, but as far as showing who has the handset at the time, like who's talking on it, and how far they are from it. It's all of those other evidence that helps him form his opinion.
Very well, thank you. Brief response, if you have one.
Really brief, Your Honor, and I just want to make this clear, and I think you understand our position perfectly. We're not arguing that summaries are not admissible. We're arguing that.
I hate those slippery tricks. I think you understand our position perfectly. Because if you don't, you're an idiot, is what's implied. It's a compliment, it's a threat, it's a slippery lawyer trick.
This is in the proper summary. That's the argument. We don't make an argument in our papers that summaries are not admissible. We're saying that this document doesn't meet the foundations of the Florida statute as a proper summary. Again, they're taking particular points, but
Yeah, we just happen to have a problem with this document, you know, the one that's the most damaging to our client. Coincidence. It's a coincidence.
these are not voluminous documents that they're now summarizing. So the most voluminous, there's only one voluminous document that they're summarizing in this entire presentation. And that's how they got originally to Harvey Adelson's phone number, where they had data that would go to the ceiling. If they wanted to do a summary exhibit on that piece, it might be allowed. But everything else is not voluminous materials. It's a closing argument. To allow them to put that document to the jury would essentially be the same as saying, you know what, Ms. Kappelman, Ms. Dugan, when you do your closing, the PowerPoint that you do, that should go back to the jury too. Because it's essentially the same thing, Your Honor. There's no difference. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Right, concerning this motion, I'm prepared to rule on part of it today. As to whether or not Sergeant Corbett can be properly qualified as an expert witness, I will find if Sergeant Corbett is capable of testifying to the interpretation of the records that go beyond just merely where the towers are, what was pinging, and what the phone records show, that would go to scientific or technical expertise in which he is properly able to give an opinion. As to the summary itself, and I do not want to belabor this point, but I do believe I am going to need to hear from Sergeant Corbett specifically as to how he put this together, and his opinion was informed by the information that is in the summary before I can rule on it. Otherwise, I agree with the defense position. This is proper as a demonstrative, but to admit it as evidence, I'm going to need to hear more.
I think it was Muffin Man Fuckhead, Tracy. What was it? Muffin Head Fuck what? I can't remember. We'll have to go back.
We'll have part 2 then, in which Sergeant Corbett can testify concerning how the summary was created and how his opinions were formed by the evidence that are within the summary, after we have the docket sounding next week. As to another matter in which I am prepared to rule on at this point, concerning the defendant's motion in limine, concerning testimony from Wendy Adelson as to the storyline of her book and also changing the names of the children, I will permit the state to use this information for impeachment, depending on what is developed during the examination of Ms. Adelson. As to the other matters concerning her testimony, that has already been ruled upon. Has the state also decided which jailhouse recordings you're intending to use for evidence? Because I did need to review those.
Yes.
Impeachment of Miss Adelson. I like this sound.
Sir, as of right now, we do not have any jailhouse recordings that we intend to introduce that feature Mr. Adelson, which is what the defense was objecting to. So that's why we have not sent any to your honor. May I clarify what you just said about the name changes?
Go ahead.
You said it could be used for impeachment. May I, she admits that point, or has previously. Would I be permitted to inquire about that area?
As it relates to any prior testimony she's given on the subject, you may inquire as to that. Very well. I believe still outstanding.
Judge, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I just want to make sure I understand now. So our motion was to prevent them from inquiring as to the name changes. So in other words, our motion was Ms. Kappelman or Ms. Dugan can't ask her the question, did you change the kids' names? That was what our motion was. So I'm not sure I'm just not sure the ruling. Can they ask that question?
Well, on that particular point, what is this being offered for, Ms. Kappelman?
For motive, Judge.
As it goes to motive, I will permit it for that reason, or also impeachment, depending on what comes out. Motive and bias are equally available for both parties to explore. All right. As to the state's motion in limine, I believe there is also one other outstanding item to be addressed concerning Luis Rivera's gang affiliation. As to this particular point,
I love how we all take things really seriously around here. Christina says, wasn't midget part of Muffin Fuckhead's nickname? It was something like that. I think the beautiful thing about Daniel Rashbaum is that so many things can apply, right? Muffin Man, fuck fingers, fuck face, sniffy fingers, monkey hands.
research this further, Mr. Rashbaum. As to the name of the organization, I'm really failing to gather why hearing I was threatened by a gang member versus I was threatened by a Latin King member is going to in some way create a greater credibility in front of the jury for the narrative that you wish to weave. I will permit Ms. Adelson, if she testifies, that she acted in accordance with being threatened by a gang member. The specific name of the gang, I don't believe in any way is going to assist the trier of fact in terms of assessing her story, whether it's credible or not. They will make their determination if they believe this testimony.
But I like when they're referencing the Latin kings. It's so funny, or the Aladdin kings, or whatever it is, you know.
I believe that was the only other outstanding matter of the state's motion in limine. As to Jeff Lacoste, I have not finished my research yet on that matter, but I will rule on it before we start with any selection of the jury. Do the parties have any other matters that we need to address this morning?
Yes, sir, just a second.
Well, you've had a week, Judge Everett. Have you been too busy sorting your Skittles into giant jars ordered by color? What do people think? Does Judge Everett prefer Skittles or M&Ms?
Judge, in contemplation, like of planning when to start evidence, can we all agree that we...
You know those big shelves that judges have in their chambers, which is just full of legal reference books? I just imagine in Judge Everett's chambers, there's another shelf, smaller but just as impressive, filled with sweets.
We would not start the presentation of witnesses until Friday, the first Friday.
Assuming that we have the jury selected by Thursday.
Yes, sir.
Well, that would probably be appropriate. Does the defense have a position concerning this?
You have 1 moment.
Go ahead.
That's fine, Your Honor.
Very well. Assuming we have a jury by Thursday afternoon, we would start with the case on Friday. Well, with the parties...
You're going to start on Friday? Oh, I don't like that. You know, you're going to have opening statements and then break for the weekend. That loses the whole pace and energy. You should wait until Monday, Judge.
Be able to go to their openings, assuming there's enough time Thursday afternoon.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Rashbaum? Very well. If we have enough time, then after we have the jury selected and sworn, we would give openings and then launch into the testimony from there with all the witnesses. Does the state have an idea, at least in terms of days, how long you think the case in chief will last?
I think 6 to 7 for our case in chief, Judge.
All right. Does the defense have any idea at this point?
That's quite lengthy. That's quite lengthy. Charlie Adelson's whole trial was done in 6 days, wasn't it? Including the defense. I know the defense didn't really have many witnesses to call.
I would say, it depends, obviously, but I would think 2 days.
Very well. No one is going to be held fast and firm to this. I'm just asking.
Right. In the interests of keeping things relevant here, guys, Rabbit Inc. says that Judge Everett is an M&M's man. But I'm curious, Rabbit Inc. Peanut or chocolate?
For an estimate. One other matter to address with the defendant directly before we finish this morning. Ms. Adelson, next week we are going to have your final pretrial. That is typically the hearing in which I inquire of both parties if they are in fact ready to go to trial, if any continuances are necessary, and also information concerning plea offers. As I stated to you at a previous hearing, I do not prod people to take pleas. However, if you wish to consider a plea offer from the state, the time is rapidly coming for you to make that decision as to whether you desire.
This should be the plea offer from the state. Tell us everything you know about Wendy Adelson's involvement, because she set you up and she hates you, and you can go free. You can go back to Florida, play shuffleboard, sit in the Icon, boss Harvey around, and die in peace.
To entertain any plea offer or not. If you want your counsel to provide an offer to the state, also the time is coming very close to a conclusion for them to do that as well. I'm not going to prod you either way, but I want you to be mindful of the fact, once we begin jury selection and the denial is sworn, that means trial has started. From there, basically because of count one, if you are convicted as charged, my hands will be tied concerning any sentencing on that matter. Your attorneys will have further.
Yeah, no pressure, Donna. No pressure at all, Donna. Judge Everett's hands are tied. He's cuffed himself to his desk.
Discussion with you concerning this. But if you are considering anything at all, you need to make a decision on this quickly. Do you understand where I'm coming from? Very well. We are in recess. I will see everyone next week at 9 o'clock, September 12th.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Maybe we briefly go sidebar.
Yes.
Why are they going sidebar when there's no jury in the room? Seriously, does anyone know that? Is it to be heard outside the presence of the defendant? I mean, she's the only other one in the room. I guess it's off the record, right? Off the court reporter's record.
Sorry, I understand. Okay, that's your job.
See you later, Clarissa. Keep working hard.
That is the conclusion of the hearing for today. Have a good Friday, everyone. We're in recess.
Well, that was it. Man, I was set for another 3 hours. Okay. What can we discuss now, guys? Should we watch another video? Or has everybody got to get back to work? Or go to work? It's early for you guys. What could we cover briefly? How about a jailhouse call? Or a post-bump call? Anyone got a good link to a call that we haven't covered? What? Katie McBanowa. What? Mrs. Adelson. Hey, Mrs. Adelson? Yeah, I was with Taco up in Broward, and he told me everything. Do the right thing, man. Take care of Taco like you've been taking care of Katie and Tudo, man. This ain't going away. Watch it again. Ooh, should we watch it twice? What? Jeff on the stand. Everyone loves Jeff on the stands, don't they? Oh. I don't know about playing the same thing again on this video, Nev. Because when people watch it back, they'll leave. Why don't we do something else? We could cover. What about when the cops come to see Sigfredo? We haven't done that before. What would we even search for? Sigfredo Garcia, police come to his work. Yeah, how about that, guys? All shout out to Mentor Lawyer. We'll have to put a link to this video in the description. Thank you, Mentor. Thank you. Big man James. Love you, James. Hey, James, what happened to your video of the Wendy Adelson interview? Because the one on Law and Crime sucks. It's zoomed in. The audio's out of sync with the video. It's shorter than the one you had up. What have I got to do? I've got to become a member of your channel to get it? I'll do it.
Did you ever hear about it, Dan Markel?
Homicide.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
No.
Okay. You hadn't heard about that murder or anything? You know anything about? Ever hear it on the news or anything?
No murder.
This handsome Miami guy was not expecting a visit from the FBI at his cool workplace, but he should have been expecting that visit. You see, Sigfredo Garcia, also known as Tuto, is a hitman. At the time of this FBI field interrogation, Sigfredo.
Yeah, he's a hitman, but it's not like he's any good. He's a disaster hitman. I mean, I have never shot like a real gun. You know, I think I shot a 2.2. I don't know, but it's not a real gun. It's a pellet gun. But I could do a better job than Sigfredo, man. You know, easily.
Let's just go ahead and call him Tuto, is holding a regular job. His sort of wife, Katie, with whom he shared 2 children, finally got Tuto to settle down and keep a regular job. But then the FBI showed up, and it all went downhill from...
Should we be keeping Ladybug's narration here? I think that's stealing. Sorry, Ladybug. We think you're great, but we don't want to, rob you.
We got some information about something that happened a couple of years ago, and your name popped up in it. We're just trying to... Okay. All right. This happened up in North Florida, up in the northern end of Florida. Up there. You ever been to Tallahassee, Florida?
No, I have not.
No, never.
No, I have not. No, definitely not. I don't know my exact route to Dan Markel's house without even using a map. Of course, I don't know where Tallahassee is.
Okay. Do you know of Luis Rivera or Luis Rivera, something like that?
Like I said, I know several,
Okay.
but at the same time.
Yeah, all my friends are called Luis Rivera. You know, there's Luis 1 all the way up to Luis 9. And all their surnames, they're all brothers. right? And their mother called them all Louis Rivera.
Oh, excuse us. Sorry about that. Okay. Is there one that you're friends with or anything that you hang out with or
You would
anything?
be like a little more specific as to what it is that
He's kind of short guy.
asking for, or why I might know him, or if I feel like if I should even say I know him, because from what my prior experience, I'm sure you know my name. You know exactly where to come
Well, we
from.
found one from, yeah, we want to book right. Oh, you got a nice job and stuff. That's why we wanted.
Family.
Sigfredo, I thought you were a criminal, man. The line is, sorry, I don't talk to police. End of discussion. Right? Don't, if you're the killer, you don't talk to the police. You don't stand there going, no, I have not. No, I have not been to Tallahassee. Who is Dan Markel? What is this all about?
And we found out you had kids. I didn't want to do this in front of your kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's bad enough doing it at your work, but I don't know where else to find you. It's either at home or at work. It's home two places know to come talk to you about. So I'm saying I don't want to freak your kids out. So.
Yeah.
We want to go a little further, maybe. Okay.
That doesn't bother me. That's fine.
Oh, okay. All
right. It's a why should I know or should I not know Louis Rivera?
Okay.
That's what I need to know.
Well, there's some information about some things that happened up north, and and your name was thrown out there. Some information just came to light recently that you and Mr. Rivera might have been had something to do with it up north. Do you know Dan Markel? Do you know who Dan Markel is?
I'm surprised they use similar terminology to what the undercover used as in the bump, right? This family problem you guys had up north. Taco told me everything, right? About your family problem up north. We helped you with your family problem up north. I mean, maybe everybody says that in the state of Florida, up north, up north, up north. But, if Charlie had said to Katie, like a direct transcription of what the bump guy was talking, that terminology would be, and then if Sigfredo went back and said to Katie, hey, this guy said up north as well, and there was also that other term that was similar, you'd start connecting the dots and go, hey, that guy's definitely FBI.
Liz?
No, you don't like anybody else.
Doesn't sound like anybody now. Okay. So you've never been to North Florida either. As far as taking trips up north or anything, have you
None whatsoever.
none whatsoever, never been up that way? Okay. Who do you live with right now?
So, you've never taken your cell phone up north? I mean, did you send your cell phone in the mail in an envelope that said return to sender in Miami? Because your cell phone was up there, buddy. We got it.
You live with somebody?
I live with my wife.
You're married. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. What's her name?
Why? That's I'm not gonna really.
You man, and your name came up in an investigation, obviously, and that's why we're trying to get your side of the story to find out if there's any validity to it, if there's any reason about it. Your wife works obviously somewhere and makes money herself. So, what kind of car does she drive?
Hey, that's General Isom's line, man. Don't steal General Isom's line. What kind of car does she drive? What color is her car? How long has she owned that car? How fast can it go 0 to 60?
I'm trying to get you to talk to me about some stuff, and I can't tell you what our investigation is totally about, right? I can't just go into it.
It's like a one-sided kind of.
I know it's
not really fair.
I mean, okay, your name came out like I told you. Gotcha. Yeah, now you look like you're doing well for yourself.
Yeah,
sure.
I know. Right now, it's kind of, that I get badged with FBI. It's like, wow, this is not something I'm accustomed to. So obviously, I'm on defense, and I don't think I should say anything more than I want to say.
Okay.
But I mean, if I can help, obviously, I'd be more than happy to.
Okay. As a good citizen, as a good law-abiding citizen with a job, and I want to help, but I don't want to talk to you.
I definitely don't want people coming over here to my job. Because obviously right now that's stirred up. Because when I got this job, I'm not the greatest person to have a job in financing.
Sure.
So right now, what you practically did was just.
Yeah, we got that, Sigfredo. Not the greatest guy to have a job in financing. How the fuck did that happen, Sigfredo? What, did you just threaten the line manager until he gave you a job?
You go back in and tell her you're a witness in a case. You go back and tell her that stuff.
Because then they're gonna think, are they in litigation? Are they going to court? Are they getting audited? Is it something that I'm doing against my company now? So it's like pretty much you just like appreciated part of my French. All over a little bit of character.
Well, we're trying not to. That's why we try to just whisper to you and then
Yeah,
get you
no,
come out.
understandable. I appreciate at least the
We attempted to go the way if that were your kids. We thought this would be the better.
the discreetness, but you know,
Yeah.
a phone call.
I was just going to say, Sigfredo was looking for the word discretion, couldn't find it, and then used the word discreetness.
Maybe, I don't know.
Oh, we didn't know your number either. What's your phone number? Your cell phone number? Can you get that either?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I want to, but it's just, I feel like I should be a little bit defensive now because, you know, you guys showed up to my job.
I hear you. I hear you.
I'm a little upset that
I hear you.
had to happen.
I hear you. We got a job to do. We got to get these things out.
I respect that. I'm talking.
Yeah, I totally respect that. Your job is your job, and I want to help. But please, get out of my office.
And then recently, you know, it just doesn't feel right now. I don't know. I mean, you guys seem very welcoming and nice and everything you do. You're very
Welcoming, nice. We could maybe go out for a taco. There's a great place 3 blocks up. What's your favorite taco?
We didn't come in here.
I like seafood hot sauce with the crunchy shell.
Like I told you, like I said, it's totally voluntary. You're not under arrest. We're here just talking to you and stuff, and we're just trying to find out. We got some information, and we're trying to find out if that information is even out at all without ruining your life here.
I travel to Orlando. I go to Disney.
Okay.
You know, I go to LA. I've gone to Dominican Republic, my family, stuff like that.
Okay. All right. Mr. Rivera is a little short.
What was that? The third one? He's gone to Disney, LA, and what?
I go to LA. I've gone to Dominican Republic, my family.
Dominican Republic.
Stuff like that.
Okay. All right. Mr. Rivera is a little short. Short Hispanic. Got some. I think he's got some tattoos and stuff. I mean, you know a lot of guys you hang out with. I mean, there's a lot of them like that. This one got locked up in jail. He's in prison right now.
Okay, that's, you know, my name is very different.
It is. It is very specific. There's not a whole lot of people with your name out there. So that's how we were able to find you so easy. Because
I would have thought Sigfredo Garcia was a pretty common name.
Somebody gave up your name. Somebody gave up your name.
Okay.
Do you have a nickname? Is your nickname Tudo?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Do you know Rivera as Tato?
I know
Tato.
I know a Tato. Yeah, my uncle's Tato too, though. So.
Okay, but do you know a Luis Rivera or Luis Rivera as Tato also? Okay.
Luis Rivera, yeah.
Okay.
I know several Luis Rivera.
Okay.
Just keep it like that because I don't understand where you're going with it.
Okay. Well, I want to find out who this guy is and find out.
You don't understand where they're going with it? Okay, well, let's work through it together, Sigfredo. There's an FBI talking about Tallahassee and mentioning you and Luis Rivera. I think we might be able to connect the dots on that, you know? End the conversation.
Not exactly what his deal is. If you're tight with him or not, if you've been with him a lot, you used to hang with him.
Yeah, I haven't been with nobody a lot.
Okay.
I'm always with my wife, my kids.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
I like Daddy of the Year, actually.
Yeah.
I even baby.
I'm with my wife and my kids until Katie kicks me out, and then I go to Shrimp's house for fish tacos.
Your kids?
9 and 4.
Oh, awesome. That's good ages, man.
Yeah, boy and girl.
Boy and girl, got one of each. Awesome.
Yeah.
Having those ages, man, it's pretty cool. They're out of that diaper stage, but they can still do their own stuff now.
She already sleeps without diapers. So.
Really? Oh, that's awesome, man. Sleep through the night now and not have to worry about it.
It's been a while. We always sleep through the night.
Oh, okay.
So what can I do to so obviously we have to. There's some issues that you want to speak to me about. I feel like I shouldn't speak any more than I have to because for some reason I don't want to be collateral damage or even something to something that I have nothing to do with.
Right. If you had nothing to do with it, that's what you need to clear your name with, and
but still, for me to clear my name on something I don't know anything about.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal. We got a bunch of stuff at the office that I can sit down. If you wanted to go to the office, we can sit down and I can go over some stuff, some documents and stuff like that, and find out if you know anything about all this stuff. So you'd have to be willing to come down to the office with it.
I wouldn't go as an attorney, obviously. I don't know. That just sounds wrong.
Okay.
Because it's like you have a whole bunch of stuff on people I'm just saying that came and said
You
my.
might be able to help us out. You might be able to point us out and say, yeah, I know this person, they were doing this, they were doing that.
Yeah, I
And,
wish
you know,
I
be able
could,
to point some
but
things out.
I'm not really that guy. I'm not.
Well, sorry. We're just talking. Thanks.
Personally, I think the FBI could have done some better tactics here. You know, they know Sigfredo is going to be right in tune with what they want, and right in tune with the fact that they think it was him as well. Of course, he's not going to come in and point to people. They could have done it in a different way. I'm not sure what that would be, but I'm not an agent yet.
You know what? It really helped clear some stuff up, man.
I have my attorney call you guys.
Who's your attorney?
I don't know yet, but I want to call.
Oh, okay. You don't have one already? Okay. I mean, if you didn't do anything wrong, man, you don't have anything. Well, I hear you, man. I hear you. I hate to leave this hanging like this, though, man.
I know, man. I hate it too, bro. You telling me I got to do my job.
I know.
It's not hanging right now. When I walk back in there, the array of questions, it's going to be ridiculous, right?
Tell them what we want. That's why we won't gonna talk in front of them. We're not gonna put you out there like that.
Up to my desk. That's why my manager started. My supervisor, I was eating breakfast.
Right.
My supervisor comes up and she does it because nobody's allowed inside the financial office because we have people's personal information and then we're PCI compliant. It was accredited. We can't have.
So I have walk-in people come in and talk to you all through the phone?
Yeah. So when you guys came in, obviously, I got you. She's like, this is not allowed.
I got you.
So,
I got you. Well, that's our mistake. We didn't realize what the hell I said up in there. I want to call your manager and say, hey, with the FBI, we need to talk to, you know, we're trying to get around her so she doesn't, you know, she don't let us screw your job.
There's no getting around her.
I can tell.
She does her diligence.
I can tell. That's why I wanted you to step outside so I can show you my credit and not show it to her.
Yeah, but it could have been a disgruntled.
I know. I understand her reason. I totally understand. I know. But you can see what we were trying to do. We were trying not to put you out there with your manager.
I got you. I understand that. No, I know what I simply done. That's why I said, okay, I'm not going outside with this guy. I don't know if he's somebody we lent money to, he defaulted on, he wasn't happy with the terms. He might shoot me in the hallway.
Oh, you can see it. See it in my shirt. Yeah.
Very plain, big gun too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really I'm not going to go without an attorney. I mean, I understand unless you're telling me I'm under arrest and you're taking me to jail.
No, you're not.
I want to help you guys. I really do. Okay. Anything I can do to help you, I would be more than happy to help you, but I'm not going to just put myself in a position where I might not be helping myself.
I got you.
It might not work out for me. I don't like that whatsoever.
I got you.
I mean, I don't.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else we can resolve this by staying here in this hallway. So you haven't been to Tallahassee, and you don't really. Have you taken any trips with Mr. Rivera, with Tato?
No.
You ever been anywhere with him?
No.
Do you know what his phone number is? I mean, stuff like that. And your old phone number, stuff like that would help us.
No,
I mean,
actually,
might clear things up if we know what phone you were using and what phones other people are using during time periods. It would help us out. You could tell us his phone number, stuff like that.
Writing the phone number down. Like, do you really remember any of your friends' phone numbers? I remember.
Not anymore. It's an old art. Yeah, it's an old art.
It is. I know my mom's number. You know.
Yeah. Ones that people have for a long time. What's your own phone number? You remember your own phone number?
I changed my number a couple of times too as well because me and my wife separated for a while. So I was with some other girls and couldn't come back home with the same number.
When were y'all separated? How long?
For about 2 years.
Wow. You're back together now? Awesome.
Yeah, I got the kids, you know.
Absolutely. That's good though, man. That's good for the kids for sure, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, kids.
Yeah. Pat Sanford's been on the outs as well, man. He understands. How long we all separated for? 2 years? Wow. Are y'all back together now? Wow. We're the same.
There's arguments both ways, but you know, kids need both.
Yeah.
I've got a badge and you've got a gang tattoo. That's the same as a badge, man.
Yeah, it's tough on you guys. Yeah, absolutely. That's cool, man. That's impressive you got back to it. Yeah, it's you know what it's like, man. So that's cool. So y'all been back together, and we caught y'all apart for 2 years.
Yeah, probably even more than that, a little more than that.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
It's alright though. You know, it is what it is.
I hear you, man. I don't want to keep you from your job here. I hate to leave this.
I don't want to go back to my job now.
I know.
It's like right now I'm in a position that I don't even know what I'm going to say, but I get within it. Because it's like I don't have anything to say. I don't know what to say. But
I hear you, man.
the FBI came and asked me questions about some Spanish Latino guy that's short with tattoos. And they wanted me to know if I've taken trips with him. That's like odd questions. And it's, You know, it's like, no, obviously.
Like this trip right here that we have a picture of because you knuckleheads went to an ATM with a camera in your hire car with a sun pass. Could there be a clearer shot? Tell me this was in Tallahassee. I mean, oh no, I think it was on the way though. It was like, you know, halfway between Miami and Tally. Idiots. Take cash. You know, there's an ancient Chinese saying, use cash, not credit cards.
But it's still scary to me because I don't know what you guys want.
Right.
What people are trying to tie me into.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the FBI don't just come around asking people questions. I watch enough CSI to know that. Yeah.
And you know, and like I said, you know, if we knew you, if we thought you did something, you know, it wouldn't be me here, standing here, coming up to your work, just talking to you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're just trying to get information from you. That's all we're trying to get you to help us. You know what I mean?
But it's just, you know, at my expense. You know, I understand you guys are trying to do something, but right now, you guys just, you know.
I'm just trying to think of ways to clear this thing up, man. I mean, we had somebody call in and gave us your information about something that happened up north. I'll go ahead and tell you about it. There was a homicide up in the north part of Florida up there. Did you ever hear about it, Dan Markel?
Homicide.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No.
Okay. You hadn't heard about that murder or anything? You know anything about? Ever hear it on the news or anything?
No murder.
Okay.
At this moment in the interview, Tuto refused to say anything else without a lawyer present. He was eventually arrested, indicted, and convicted. He is now serving a life sentence in a Florida prison. His wife is also serving a life sentence for her involvement in the hit. And now Charles Adelson, the former brother-in-law of the victim, is facing charges for allegedly ordering the hit.
I'm going to give you an update about the case of State of Florida versus Sigfredo Garcia shortly. But before that, I'm going to read to you a letter written by Sigfredo to Catherine McManua while they were both in jail, written on how and Catherine.
Should we let Mentor... Damn, as I write this letter through blurred vision, I'm devastated. I'm still at a loss. But let's make this bigger. But what's important is that all through your outcome wasn't a win exactly. It definitely was not a loss. You have a couple of good things to look forward to in your pursuit of justice. For starters, I will not be sitting next to you with all my bad juju. Next, your attorneys will be better equipped to defend you now that they have seen all the sucker punches and manipulations the other side got away with. It's not over Chuchi. There is light at the other end of this dark tunnel. You just have to keep your head up and keep moving forward. You're a trooper, Bay. You're my little sunshine. I know there have blah, blah, blah. How can we see the rest of the letter? I know there have... Not only that, but for giving me your love and my children. We both have a difficult road ahead of us. Just know you'll always have me. Just because they knocked me down, don't count me out. I plan on fighting this with every breath I have. I'm going to start with my direct appeal and continue exhausting every appeal in the book until they get so tired of seeing me, they'll give up and free me. Don't give up on me. I need you more than ever, even if it's just some written or spoken words of encouragement. They'll mean the world to me. You know you've always been tougher than me. Well, I have my sentencing on Monday, and by the time you get this, we'll know where I stand. But no matter where I stand, remember, how I stand, with my chest out and my head high, and I expect nothing less from you. Please stay in touch. Yeah, well, kind of funny and sad at the same time, isn't it? P.S. Also, Sam does not handle appeals. Yeah, thank fuck for that. That'd be worse than the case. Maybe you can talk to Chrissy and see if she can handle mine for pro bono or charity since I'm broke. Okay, well, good luck, Sigfredo. Yeah. And that's the end of that one, guys. What else can we do? So there's something here. I don't want to do like just want to look for little throwaway segments, you know. It's like a Sunday fun day, but on a Friday afternoon. What are people saying in the chat? Do people have ideas in the chat? Nice penmanship. Yeah. He sounds like a keeper. Real sweet guy, huh? But remember how he stands, guys, with his chest out and his head high. I'm trying to think on my feet here if there's another little short one we can do before we close up for the afternoon, because we've got a busy night ahead of us, guys. Wendy Adelson interrogation part 2. It's kind of a rough night last night. What about Charlie Adelson, Katie Magbanawa calls?
I don't understand it. I'll get it.
So it's just an answering machine, no one spoke to you?
No.
Like,
No, he was missing. My friend, I told my friend, and I was like, look, can you do me a favor? Because it's like, I'm not a guy, I don't know what you're talking about. And then he's like, that's some fucked up shit.
yeah.
And he's like, don't worry.
That's some fucked up shit? What? I just imagine Katie has never grown up past the age of 15, right? Okay, who are you, first of all?
No matter what, like, whatever it is, like, I'm gonna handle it. For plan.
Yeah. Well, I feel better. I definitely feel better. I apologize for not getting a Hallmark card, but I got a little something, so.
I'm just, it's like right now I'm about to go to like 15, like I'm taking a group of times, and like I'm on edge, like you don't understand, like I want to punch somebody in the face so bad.
Picture yourself.
One thing is like when somebody's, I understand it, and I feel for your parents, and I
Come
feel
to
for
me,
them.
don't come to my parents,
Exactly.
like my parents are fucking old, like dude,
Like, what are you doing these threats? That's why, like my parents were still in that part, I was like, you better understand, like imagine, somebody doing this to my mom, somebody doing this to your mom, and that's when he had gone angry. He was like, look, I don't know what it is, I don't want to get into anybody's business, you know, but if they did mention your name, I don't like that, and it's gonna be handled. And that fact that nobody's picking up their phone now is like frustrating me. But
I mean,
like,
there was no voicemail before, now there is.
now there is. Their next phone call is gonna be the freaking, it's not gonna be good either way. No matter what way it ends, it's not gonna be good for whoever is messing around.
mean, that's it. And listen, I don't want some.
I don't want any problems. Imagine, like, look at this. I'm taking up somebody else's, you know? Like, I don't even know what the hell is going on.
And listen, the last thing I want to do is have some guy, the last thing I want to do is have some guy who's trying to score money, go to jail, and then feel like he's sitting in jail because of me. Like, no, like, fucking just leave us alone. I'm not looking to send people to jail. That's not how I live life. I didn't even, but it's gonna happen if this guy keeps doing that. The police will get involved, we'll get in trouble.
Of course, you know, that's right. Especially, you keep calling somebody's business. What's wrong with people?
Well, you can't be sending letters, you can't be showing up on the street.
Exactly.
Like, where I'm gonna.
That's not me making those noises, by the way, guys. That's on the recording.
You know, or it could be someone like thinking like, oh, it's like the fact that.
Sounds like there was a fucking camel in the courtroom. Did you hear that? Listen to this. This is the sound a camel makes.
Like, where I'm gonna.
Big camel. Was that Judge Everett? I think it was. Pretending to cough so he could put a few Skittles into his mouth. No, peanut M&Ms, right? I swear to God, sometimes, you know, when there's a long thing going on in the courtroom and everyone kind of zones out, Judge Everett's mind is just going to like the weekend thinking, what else can I cover in chocolate? We could cover everything in chocolate.
You know, or it could be someone like thinking like, oh, the fact that this is it. The next step also I'm thinking is in a couple of days, I'll tell the person, hey, do you need a name of someone in this family that owes you money? Because I'm gonna go pay them a visit. Give me a name. Is it my brother? Is it Robert? Like, yeah, and I will see that if someone owes somebody money, they will pay, but you gotta give me a name because you're talking to the wrong people. And frankly, yeah, I mean, who are you? Hey, I have cousins. I've got a huge family.
I gotta get in there. My kids are like, you know, they're sponges. They do everything, and I'm very.
Do you want me to try to meet up with you, or do you want me to just leave it for you to pick up tomorrow?
Yeah, if you can.
You want me to try to meet up with you?
I want to if you can, but if you can't, I'll call you when I get out of here.
Okay, I was just gonna work out.
Yeah, I know what I'm trying to do because like I can't. I have to go over and see it. Like I can't.
Go work out and call me.
And I'm not the type to work out. And I mean.
Do what?
And I'm not even the type to work out. And I'm sure. I hope. Hold your sister's hand. Hold your sister's hand. In the jacket. Hold on one second. Don't ever let me walk on your top. You know that. You know better than that. Okay.
All right. Hit me up.
It's okay, Libby.
Meet you, or you'll pick it up tomorrow.
Okay, we're done.
Do we have that video, Ramble? You talking about when Katie's talking to Sigfredo's mom? Do we have a link for that?
Call you in like an hour. This is like an hour.
Okay, call me in an hour.
Next we have
See you later, Willie.
OO.
Well, we publish 40 minutes. We want to be quick.
No, sir, I've got 3 segments picked out for a total of 20-ish minutes.
Please continue.
Hey, what's going on? How are you doing? Good. Working out.
This is the moment you're playing?
Yeah.
So, what's happening this afternoon?
No,
Nothing there.
but I did. I'd rather not talk to him.
Yeah, okay, so, tomorrow I was gonna tell you that, actually Dad is gonna check with her right now. We're almost finished, but she came up with a brilliant suggestion. I was telling her that tomorrow, my birthday, that we have tickets to get to Las Vegas Food and Wine Festival. And so we got tickets, I think it's supposed to be from.
Okay, we can have a look at hang on. All right, we'll have a look at Katie McBanower v. Sigfredo's mom. But we need a big sign that says this is from Fancy Fiction's channel and all credit goes to Fancy Fiction. We're not robbing her credit. She got there first. We'll put a link to the video in the description. Go and leave a like on her channel immediately. Credit. It's not ours.
Hello. I'm tired of this, Mom. I'm going to the cops. I'm tired of it. He freaking
You're
chose
going
me
to the
and
cops?
everything, and I'm tired of it. He's every single time you yourself, you let him to be the way that he is. When he lived with a prostitute, that's just an excuse, okay? I didn't let him have the kids.
Okay, can you explain to me what happened, Katie? Because what happened? Why are you two fighting in front of the kids?
Sunday, okay? He wants to do whatever he wants. He comes home at 11 o'clock at night. I look through his phone. Oh, mysterious call at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I call the girl, and then he's like, she hangs up the phone on me. Oh, because she's a lesbian. But yeah, he's always lying to me. How many times do I have to get cheated on? How much
Katie,
do I have
listen. That is a girl. Listen, that's a girl that is a lesbian.
No, you're just like that.
Hey, a bit of advice to all you mother-in-laws out there. If your daughter-in-law is on the phone like this, hang up the phone. There's no reason. It's like a wild animal. You just need to throw a heavy net over it, okay? Come back in an hour.
You always go and you fucking protect me.
Okay. Well,
what? If you go to my house, Mom, and you take care of my kids and you don't let them take care of my kids, I swear to God, I will call the cops. I swear to God. It is his responsibility. Stop.
And not yours, Katie, and yours, both of you, responsibility to take care of those kids. And not fight in front of them.
You're not going to my house, and you're not going to be doing and babying shit while he does the stuff that he does. You want him to be the bad person again?
Katie, you go out every day too. What's going on? Why are you two fighting?
Mom, why do you want him to be like that? What, he's asking you to go to the house already to take care of the kids?
No.
Stop, Mom.
What,
you want to help?
where are the kids? Where are the kids? That's what I'm interested in.
I left. I'm tired of this. He strangled me. He banged my head through the wall.
Okay. Did you hit him?
Of course, the fucking bitch called. He's calling a bitch.
Okay.
Yeah, I bet Katie has one hell of a right hook, right? You know, she's small, but she's feisty. And I bet she beat Sigfredo in his melon fucking head so many times that he pushed her and she hit her head on the wall. You know.
Okay, so you see, listen, it's both your fault, yours and his.
No, you never hit.
And what you're doing, don't leave your kids. Why are you leaving your kids?
Ever even hit a prostitute, okay? But yeah, he's gonna hit me that does everything, and I.
Okay, so Katie, but you were hitting him too. You were hitting him. It's wrong for him to hit you.
Me pushing him is hitting him strangling me. Do you want to see me? I'm going to go to your house right now so you can see how beat up I am.
Okay, and
house right now so you can see how beat up I am. I don't call my mom and fucking cry about it. I've been sucking it in. You guys are horrible people. You guys are horrible.
I'm horrible, Katie. When I'm always there, every time you all need me.
No, you're not. Plenty of times when I had to work 3 jobs, you wouldn't even help me watch my kids.
When was that, Katie?
What are you talking about? When I had to work in the club and I had to bust my ass, I could easily open my legs and people can fucking throw money in my vagina, but I didn't do that. You guys don't know that.
People can throw money in my vagina. Okay, that's a new one. Hadn't heard that one before. Kind of wish I hadn't. Now, full disclaimer, guys. This video is borrowed from Fancy Fiction's channel. All credit goes to her. Like, share. And it's the first time I've listened to it, actually. I never heard this before. This is fascinating.
Katie, I always been there. Every time you tell me, whenever I said no. You always enable Tuto. I used to give Tuto $400. Mom started seeing how much I was struggling and she started watching him for me. Katie, your mother left your house. And every time you needed something, I was there. Every time you said, "Son, I need you to take care of the kids," I took care of the kids. Katie, I always been taking care of the kids. I don't understand how could you abandon your kids. Just like what you're gonna do right now, Mom. Tuto's gonna throw them to you. Because he is, in his mind, you don't understand that he has a problem with alcohol. He has a problem with coke. You don't want to see that. I see everything, Katie. I see your problems and his problems.
Yeah, I believe she sees everything, you know.
I see everything. I just shut up and don't say anything. Then why do you think I couldn't have my mom around anymore? She's going to see that I'm with a guy that doesn't even care. What do you... Oh, my God. Why do you think my mom left?
Hey, thanks so much, Marcy, for the super sticker. Great way to support the channel, Marcy. If anyone else would like to support the channel, we've got a link to buymeacoffee.com in the description /True Crime Metrix, where you can buy us a coffee.com at buymeacoffee.com /True Crime Metrix. And also Patreon memberships in the description, guys.
Oh, okay. Because she was tired of yours and Tuto's fighting all the time. That's why she left. She didn't leave me because of that. I told her, okay, just stay with my brother because you know what? I can't. It was so unhealthy. I cut Tuto off. You know I did. Every time I had to beg him to see his own kids.
Let me ask a question to the group here, right? What is it that Katie Magbanua wants to achieve here, right? Does she want Sigfredo's mom to come round to his muscle man body shop and tell him off and say, "You need to toe the line and straighten up, son"? I mean, what is the game here? She's obviously really unhappy. She's unhappy that she's being cheated on, apparently. She's unhappy that he's staying out late doing coke. Well, I'm willing to bet that that's, you know, been his lifestyle always. It's not a habit that's developed later in time. You know, I mean, what is this that she wants? She wants him to dote on her, or what? I don't know.
On his own birthday, Ethan, what was he doing? Instead, he posted on and he plays the game and he didn't even watch him on his own birthday. I had him the whole day, and when it's time to drop him off, he wasn't there. Katie. How much more do I have to go through with trust? Okay, listen. It's not about you. Listen, it's not about you. It's not about Tuto. It's about the kids. I've done everything I can for the kids already, Mom. I've done everything. So you're leaving? That's a good mother, Katie. You're leaving your children behind? Well, sometimes your son is incapable of taking care of them. No. They need their mother too, Katie. I'm not going to disappear. I'm not Tuto. But you know what? Right now, I'm not going to go get strangled and pounded in front of my children. But you're telling me, listen, you're telling me that if I go and see Tuto's face, I'm not going to see him all scratched up and beat up too? Of course, because I had to push him off of me. He was strangling me. Do you want me to videotape him strangling me? Okay, let me ask you, who started fighting with each other? Was it you, the one who first threw the first punch? Because that's the way you two fight. On his freaking chest, because I was like, and
I believe that, right? I mean, let's face it, guys. If Sigfredo's a big guy, okay, he could throw Katie Magbanua through a brick wall, okay, if he wanted to. He would knock her out in one punch, and it wouldn't even take much. And I get it, you don't, but I Katie McBanaman comes clawing and vicious across the room, beating him in his melon head. It's a scrap. That's their relationship. It's a scrap. I don't think Sigfredo is beating her on purpose, like she's trying to say.
His phone. I was like, who are you calling at 3?
Okay,
If he was, she'd be dead, right? And the wall would be broken down.
that's wrong. That's wrong. And why didn't you ask him? Why didn't you ask him instead of punching him? He did. He explained to you.
I pushed him.
He's not cheating on you, Katie. He's not.
On his chest.
He's not cheating on you.
He comes home at 11 o'clock at night when he's been out since all freaking night, okay? Saying he's fishing, and he comes home at 11 o'clock at night. I have the kids ready to go out.
It's night fishing, Katie, okay? We had to go and get the shrimp. We were fishing for shrimp in the strip club.
To eat. I tell him, let's go eat. Oh, no, I'm too
You want a fish taco, Katie? We need shrimp.
tired. But yeah, you can go fishing till 11 o'clock at night, and then you get a missed call or a phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning. Really?
Who called him at 3 o'clock in the morning?
That guy, Michelle, the dry cleaner. I called the phone number back, and the bitch hangs up on me. And then he tells me, oh, because she's a lesbian or whatever. Mom, come on, I'm not an idiot. This has been going on every Thursday. Right when he gets off of work, he goes to go play pool. He has all this money to go play pool and stay out all night, and I have to go to work on Friday. I'm nervous. I call him.
He has all this money to go and play pool. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's like $1 a game. Maybe it's $2, huh? $5 for a full hour on the pool table. He has all this money to go and play pool and go fishing for shrimp.
At 2:30, oh, I'm playing pool. It's 4 o'clock in the morning, and we're arguing, and I have to wake up in 2 hours because I never miss school.
Okay, and I see that.
As normal as possible, but you know what? All of you start turning your backs on me. While he lives with a prostitute, you guys all turn your back on me.
Katie, you were with a guy. You were with a guy too. I'm not sticking my nose in your business or his business. What am I going to tell him?
Because you were going to beat him up, okay?
Oh my God! So you telling me that Tuto was a prostitute and you were with a guy?
I was single for a whole year, and he was still living with this girl. Okay, that's when I completely cut him off because he didn't want to see his kids. He blames it on me, but
yeah, I had to leave my relationship because we were co-conspirators in a murder, and we needed to keep distant. But obviously, Shrimp wasn't involved, so he kept banging her.
That has nothing to do with the kids, like I told them. You can get angry at me all you want, but what does it have to do with the kids? It was still his responsibility to see every other week.
That's why I'm telling you now. What does it have to do?
You know, this brings me to an interesting point, guys, is because a lot of people talk about Sigfredo's motive for getting involved and the reason that he didn't want to just do a robbery like Lewis suggested and it had to be a murder like Katie said, because Charlie told Katie that it had to be a murder. And Sigfredo was desperate to get Katie back and had to do it the way she wanted, right? But I get the feeling that part of Katie's motive for going ahead with the murder was also obviously the financials and everything like that, but she brought a big job to Lewis and Sigfredo. You know, they all got 30, 40 grand each, round about that, right? It's a big job, high risk, obviously, but it's a big job. Shrimp doesn't bring those big jobs, right? So I think Katie was also doing it in a bit of a way to show Sigfredo that she's more special than Shrimp, you know? more value, which is interesting. You don't hear a lot of people talking about that. And I think a lot of her frustration now is that when the murder was done, obviously Katie distanced herself from Charlie. That was kind of a prearranged plan, smart thing to do. Let's not stay in a relationship because that would look a bit obvious if anything goes wrong. And expected Sigfredo to come running, right? But apparently he's been continuing to stay with this shrimp character for while she's been single for a year, and she's pissed off because if we assume that Katie's involvement in the murder was partially to show Sigfredo that she had something more to offer than other girls in his life, and it didn't work, and she went to all that high risk and getting involved, and yeah, she got the money, but didn't get Sigfredo back. She wanted to be the Queen Ghetto. She wanted to be Queen Katie, right? With a big golden motorcycle. Yeah, I really think that's part of it for Katie. Don't hear that discussed much, really, do you? What does everyone in the chat think of that?
Do with the kids while you left your house and leave your kids behind.
You wanted me to stay there so that he can go to sleep.
Hey, Fancy, how you doing, girl? Just so you know, we are borrowing your video, but we've given a full disclaimer twice already to your credit, well-deserved credit. I've never heard this call before. Someone suggested it in the chat, and we are borrowing it from your channel, but the full credit goes to you, my friend.
And him party again at night, and then him. No, Mom, I went through this too much already. Too much. I'm not gonna involve my family how he involves you guys. Okay? It's enough. My mom has gone through so much already. She's in a lot of pain. I'm not gonna go to my brother and snitch like he does. I'm all bruised up myself. Okay? I'm not
okay,
gonna
you two need to. I think you two need to grow up, both of you.
No, what you need to do is stop enabling him, because the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna start helping him out, and he's gonna throw my kids to you every single time.
No, he needs to work. He needs to work.
No, he needs to do his job. He's at work, the kids are at school. How difficult is that?
Okay, and what?
I did it myself. While he lived with his girl, I did it myself. Did I have you dropping off the kids at school? Did I have you picking up the kids at school?
Can I ask you where you're going?
I don't even know.
You're going to
something today. I don't know. I have nowhere to go. If I'm not gonna freaking call my mom and tell her all my problems. I'm an adult. I have to deal with it.
Katie, that's wrong. Don't leave your kids behind.
No, Mom, but it's okay. You told Tuto it's okay. You told Tuto.
No, I'm not telling Tuto or you that it's okay. What I want from you two is to sit down and talk like adults without beating each other up, without screaming in front of the kids.
You know
okay?
My mother always told me a woman can hit you as many times as she wants, but never, ever are you supposed to be, as a man, even touch your wife.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't sound very fair. Where's the fun in that? A woman can hit you as many times as she wants. She can use a hammer if she wants. She can put your hand on a wooden block and start breaking all your fingers with a claw hammer. But if you hit her back, you're going to jail.
Ever.
That's true. I agree with her. But also, don't
cheated on, okay? I'm glad I went through this already.
Katie,
I to go to work. Now I'm trying
did Tuto start screaming at you when you go out with your friends and accuse you of having an affair?
The only time that I ever gone out with my friends is for their birthday. And you know what? Your son calls me and I pick.
Man, I would have been, if I was this Sigfredo's mom character, I would have been off this phone 20 minutes ago, man. She's a wild animal, and the only thing is a heavy net. You know, you throw it over like a wild boar, and you trap it, and you let it tire itself out. Tether it to a heavy stone.
Took the phone right away. He has my friends' phone numbers, which are my best friends. I never go out. That's the problem. But him,
He goes to the pool every time. He goes to go play and fucking now the whole thing about the fishing till 11 o'clock. And it's going to be a daily thing.
He's fishing for shrimp, Katie. You need a fish taco. He's going fishing. It's night fishing. He needs shrimp. This, when he's talking about shrimp, he's talking about actual shrimp, okay?
It's going to be like that all the time.
Well, but the answer is not beat each other up, Katie. The answer is talking
You don't think that
without fighting.
But you know what? It's gotten to the point where it's like he knows he can do it now. Because he gets me to the point where he wants to fight because he sees that I won't react the way that I am. And it's wrong for me to react the way that I am, but he pushes me to be that way. And I don't want it to be evil. It keeps making me an evil person.
It's just that those kids are watching all of that. And what
$400 worth of groceries? All right, every other weekend.
Mm-hmm. He bought groceries for the kids.
I understand that you will forever defend him because he's your son. But if
No. Listen, if he does something wrong, I'm not going to defend him.
He has done something wrong. As a mother, if Ethan ever chose a prostitute over his kids and his family and his wife, I would have walked his ass to death because that's not right. But you shot and cheated on.
He didn't cheat on you, Katie. He didn't.
Cheated on your own.
That woman is listen.
You don't think your son is the same way? You don't see it?
Mm-mm.
And that's sad, Mom. That is sad. Because you know what? I actually have respect for you, and I always go to you and I talk to you. I don't even talk to my mom the way that I talk to you. I tell you everything.
Yeah.
But yet,
Yeah. I was with Taco up in Broward, and he told me everything. Do the right thing, man. Take care of Taco like you've been taking care of Katie and Tudo, man. This ain't going away. We know everything.
You do. You just go for it and you just let them be. How is that right?
I'm just looking out for the kids. Okay.
You always say you're looking out for the kids, but you know.
Yes, I'm looking out for the kids. I think when you're a mother, you don't think of yourself. You think about your kids. That's what I think.
You don't think that I've done that? Did I?
No, it's not that you done it. It's you got to keep on doing it. Those are your children until they grow up and they go out on their own.
All right, Mom, you know what? Okay, protect your son. Goodbye.
I'm not protecting my son, Katie. I'm protecting the kids. How the hell are you going to leave your house and leave your kids?
No, even Nikki moved so far away. She even has freaking problems with her husband. I need to keep going at it.
Okay, no, it isn't, because you know what? Those children are there, and they need their mother.
Ethan is playing his game, and Kaylee is watching TV. They're fine. He's going to fall asleep, and God knows, hopefully he feeds them because I already fed them breakfast. That's fine. Just please don't be another laborer.
Okay.
That's
please.
the problem. If he calls you, you tell him they're your children. You have to be a man, and you need to take care of them.
Katie.
That's it.
Listen. You need to go. You need to calm down, and after you calm down.
If he drops off the kids to you, and you let him drop off the kids to you tonight, Mom, I will go to the cops. I'm telling you.
Tonight? Why would he leave kids tonight here?
No. I don't want. No, I know how he is, and I know your son like the back of my hand. I've been with him and known him for 13 years. I know what he's gonna do. He's gonna use you. And if you let it keep on, I swear to God on my mother that I will call the cops. And I will report all this abuse that he's done to me.
Listen, you could report anything, and then when they see your face and his face, you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna call child. They're gonna call child service and take the kids to an orphanage. Do you want that?
How are they gonna take them to an orphanage? They have my parents. They have my mom. They have my brother. They have what?
Okay. Do you want to go through that? Because you two are in a war?
You know what? It's all up to you then.
If you let, I'm not gonna do it.
Listen. Do you want to come over here?
No, I
You
don't
can spend the night here if you want to.
I'm fine.
You can spend the night here. You can have a fish taco.
I'm fine.
You're fine? Where are you going to go?
I'm fine. I'll figure it out. I'm a grown woman. I'm fine. If he is the father that he is, then he can take care of the kids right now. Shouldn't be a problem for him.
Okay, he's going to take care of the kids, but you need to go back to your house and take care of your kids, you know? Because the kids, if they don't see their mother, what are they going to think?
Yeah. Just like what they thought about when they didn't see their father.
Yeah, that's bad. That's terrible. That's terrible. No,
whatever.
Kids are more attached to mothers than fathers, Katie.
Okay, Mom. All right. I'm just telling you what's going to happen, and I know exactly what's going to go down. He's going to need your help, and he's going to tell you to go and watch him. I know him. I know him like the back of my hand.
I know him like the back of my hand. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm thinking that you should probably separate. It sounds toxic. Okay, should we close it off for tonight, guys? We got a busy night ahead. We got Wendy interview coming up, part two. Yeah. No, thank you very much, Fancy, for being okay with us borrowing your content. That was great. I mean, I'm a little bit wind beaten by listening to that for 25 minutes. That was incredible. I mean, it's almost like Katie's voice is like a burglar alarm or something. You know, it just goes on and on, the same tone, the ringing tone. Man, intense. Yeah, it's good. Katie's kids are doing well. I think they're out of state though, but I don't know. Did I hear that somewhere? I don't know. I'm sure Ethan does look like Sigfredo. It's usually what happens, right? Got around. See you later, Fancy. Good to see you. Thanks for dropping by. Bring cookies next time. And all you other crazy kids, Jesus Lover, Leah, Willie B, Georgina Biggs, great to see you. Yeah, that's fine, Georgina. We're just shutting down right now anyway. I think we're going to continue with our auto repair mission, and we'll be back. We'll be back at what, 7:30 Eastern, maybe 8 o'clock, 7:30 or 8 o'clock. We'll put up a notice on YouTube's. So be sure to come back to YouTube's and check out that fantastic True Crime Metrix notification a little later. For now, though, have a safe drive home. No, be kind to each other. Don't be an Adelson. And have a safe drive to work. Enjoy your work day. Okay. Catch you later, guys. True Crime Metrix out.